Hello, and welcome to this new story. A story of failure, of fear, of dreams that were almost lost before they even began. This is not a story from a movie. This is real. This is the story of a man who had nothing. No confidence, no fluency, no proper English. He lied on his resume, not to cheat, but to survive. He said he could speak English fluently, when he couldn't even introduce himself properly. He was terrified, but that one lie changed his entire life. This story is not just about learning English. This is about standing in front of people, your voice shaking, your hands sweating, and still choosing not to run. It's about the power of one decision, the pain of being laughed at, the tears behind closed doors, and the fire that started when he said to himself, "I will not lose." So if you've ever felt scared to speak, if you've ever felt small in a room full of confident people, if you've ever thought, "I'm not good enough," then this story is for you. Watch till the end, because this could be your story too. Part 1. My name is Lucas, and this is where it all started. My name is Lucas Rivera. I'm 26 years old. I come from a small town near Seville, Spain. You know, when people think about Spain, they imagine bright cities, loud laughter, flamenco music, and confident people. But my life wasn't like that. I grew up in a quiet house, with small dreams and big responsibilities. My father was a taxi driver. My mother worked in a bakery. They were kind, hardworking, and proud, but they didn't speak English, not even a single word. In our home, everything was in Spanish: the food, the songs, the prayers, the problems. As a child, I didn't even think English was important. I used to say, "I'll never leave Spain. Why should I care?" But deep inside, I had a dream I was afraid to say out loud. I wanted to live in New York, the city of lights, the city where smart people live, where confident people speak beautiful English and chase impossible dreams. That city was in my wallpaper, on my notebooks, in my mind, but not in my plan. Why? Because I didn't believe I belonged there. In school, English was my weakest subject. I could never understand grammar. I didn't know the difference between do and does, speak and talk. I would memorize answers before exams, but I never actually understood anything. I remember once in 9th grade, a teacher asked me to read a small English paragraph in front of the class. My hands were shaking. My lips got dry. I read it like a robot. Everyone laughed. The teacher said, "This is why practice is important." But what I heard was, "You're not good enough." After that, I never raised my hand in English class again. Years passed. I finished college. I studied graphic design. I was good at it, not the best, but good enough to dream of something more than a small town. One night, I was scrolling job websites, and I saw a position at a creative agency in Manhattan. I clicked it. The job description said, "Must be fluent in English, must be confident in meetings, international applicants welcome." I stared at those words. I wasn't fluent, I wasn't confident, but I was desperate. That night, I did something I never imagined. I opened my resume, and under languages, I wrote, English fluent. My hands were cold, my heart was fast, but I hit send. A week later, I got the email. "Dear Lucas, we loved your portfolio. Can we schedule an interview?" My stomach dropped. I didn't tell anyone, not my parents, not my friends, not even myself. I replied, "Yes, I'm available tomorrow." That night, I searched. How to speak English fluently in one day. It was stupid, I knew that, but I didn't know what else to do. I practiced fake answers. I wrote them down, memorized them like a child. I was not ready, but I showed up to the Zoom interview. They asked me, "Tell us about yourself." I smiled. My face was calm, but inside I was falling apart. I said, "My name is Lucas. I'm graphic designer from Spain. I love design. I want to work in New York." I made mistakes. My grammar was broken. But I said it with courage. They nodded. They smiled. Next day, I got the offer letter. I was hired. I couldn't believe it. My hands were shaking. I showed my parents. They didn't understand all of it, but they were proud. 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to New York. I had never been out of Spain before. I had never spoken full sentences in English before. But now, I had to live in a new country, work in an international office, and speak English every day. That lie on my resume became my biggest truth, because now I had to survive it. Part 2. The first day. The boy who lied walked into reality. The plane landed at JFK International Airport around 5:45 p.m. My hands were cold. My back was stiff. But my eyes, they were wide open. For the first time in my life, I was in New York City, the land I had only seen in movies. Now it was under my feet. The air smelled different. It was cold, but not in a bad way. It smelled like smoke, fast food, and something exciting, like a secret that's waiting for you to discover it. I walked out of the airport and my heart started racing. The taxis were yellow. The roads were loud. People were walking fast, talking fast, eating fast. And yes, they were speaking English faster than my brain could understand. Everywhere I looked, I saw different people. White, black, Asian, Arab, Latino, Indian. This wasn't just one country. It was the whole world, standing on one street. And me? I was a small-town boy from Seville, wearing a blue jacket I had borrowed from my cousin, holding 2 bags and one big lie. I'm fluent in English. I had booked a small Airbnb room for a week. It was in Queens. I chose the cheapest one, $38 a night. The room was small, just a bed, a window, a tiny table, and a dusty lamp. But I felt rich. I felt like a movie star in a cheap hotel. Because this wasn't about luxury. It was about freedom. I spent my first evening walking. I didn't go to Times Square. I didn't go to the Statue of Liberty. I just walked around the blocks near my stay. I watched people. I listened to conversations. I looked at store signs and menus and tried to read them silently. I was hungry, but I was too scared to order food. I didn't know how to say it. What if they asked me something? What if I didn't understand? So I went to a small grocery store. I picked up a sandwich, a packet of chips, and a can of soda. The total was $8.90. I gave $10. The man at the counter said something fast like, "You want a bag?" I froze. What did he say? I smiled nervously and said, "Sorry, English not good." He rolled his eyes. "Bag? You want bag?" This time I understood. I nodded. He threw my things in a bag and said nothing else. I walked out, embarrassed. That night I sat on the bed. I ate my sandwich in silence, and I thought, what am I doing here? I had my first panic attack that night. Not the dramatic movie one, just small and quiet. Tears came. I tried to hide them. From who? I don't know. Maybe from myself. I whispered to myself, "You said you're fluent. Tomorrow is your first day at work. What if they find out? What if they fire you? What will you do?" The next morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. I took a shower. I used my own towel because the Airbnb one looked old. I wore a simple white shirt, black jeans, and my only pair of office shoes. I had no winter coat, so I wrapped a scarf around my neck like armor. I took the subway for the first time. It was loud, crowded, confusing. I kept checking Google Maps every 2 minutes. I missed my first train. Then I stood on the wrong side of the platform. Then I got off at the wrong stop. Finally, I reached my office building in Manhattan. It was beautiful. Tall glass windows, a golden logo on the door, people in clean suits and powerful shoes. My heart was thumping like a drum inside my chest. I walked to the reception. The lady smiled and said something fast. I didn't catch all the words. Something like, "Hi, welcome, name and appointment, please?" I smiled. "My name Lucas, first day today." She typed something. "Ah, Lucas Rivera. Yes, you're with creative team, 12th floor." I nodded. I didn't say anything else. I didn't even say thank you, because I was afraid I'd mess up. The elevator ride was long, not because of the time, but because of my thoughts. Will they know? Will they laugh? Will they understand my accent? The doors opened. A woman in a black blazer greeted me. "Hi, Lucas. Welcome. I'm Sarah, your team lead. Come, I'll show you around." She was warm, friendly, confident. She spoke fast, but with a smile. As she walked me through the office, I tried to listen. I caught only some words. "This is the pantry. Free coffee here. That's the conference room. Our creative team sits here." I kept nodding like I understood everything, but inside, I was drowning. Then we reached my desk. It was clean, modern. There was a small welcome card with my name on it. Lucas Rivera, welcome to NYC. My eyes watered again. Not because I was sad, but because I had made it here. Somehow, with broken English, with fear in my heart. But I was here. I sat down, opened my laptop, pretended to look busy. Then came the real test. At 10:30 a.m., we had the team meeting. 6 people, all native speakers, fast, fluent, funny. They were joking, laughing, sharing ideas, throwing words like, "Let's circle back. Maybe we can pivot." What's the vibe we're going for? I didn't know what any of those meant. My hands were cold. My lips were dry. I said nothing. Then Sarah said, "Lucas, what do you think?" Time stopped. I looked up. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. Then I forced myself. I think design is nice, but maybe a little more bright? Silence. Then one guy said, "Yeah, I see what you mean. Add more color, right?" I nodded fast. Yes, more color." The meeting moved on. No one said anything, but I knew they noticed. My words were broken. My grammar was basic. I sounded like a beginner. And I was. After the meeting, I went to the bathroom. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, "You have 2 choices. Be scared forever, or become fluent, become fearless, even if it takes time." That day, I made a decision. I would no longer be Lucas from a small town. I would become Lucas, the man who taught himself English from zero, who changed his life word by word, sentence by sentence. That night, I didn't go out. I didn't call my family. I sat in my small Airbnb room. I opened a notebook, wrote on the top, "Mission, English fluency," and I wrote a plan. Wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Watch 1 hour of English videos with subtitles. Repeat what I hear. Write 5 new sentences daily. Speak in the mirror. Record myself. Don't miss a single day. No excuses, no fear. And finally, you lied once. Now earn the truth. That was the first day, and it changed everything. Part 3. From silence to voice. The days that changed me. I woke up the next morning at 5 a.m. It was dark outside. The room was cold. The heater in my Airbnb made a strange sound like an old man coughing. I pulled the thin blanket off me, sat up, and rubbed my eyes. I was tired. I had slept only 4 hours. My body said, "Sleep more." But my mind screamed, "No, you made a promise last night. Wake up. Start now." So I stood up. I took a deep breath and said out loud, "Good morning, Lucas. Today, we begin." It was my first morning training myself in English. I made a cup of coffee in the small shared kitchen. The coffee was bitter. But I didn't care. I was hungry, but I didn't eat. I only had one goal: become fluent in English, whatever it takes. I opened YouTube on my phone. I searched English conversation with subtitles. I found a video of two friends talking in a coffee shop. One was saying, "Hey, long time no see. How have you been?" The other said, "I've been great, just busy with work. You know how it is." I paused, rewound, played again. "Hey, long time no see." I repeated it out loud. "Hey, long time no see." Again. "Hey, long time no see." I spoke slowly, word by word. My tongue felt stiff. My mouth was not used to these sounds. It was like teaching a baby to talk. Then the second sentence. "I've been great, just busy with work." I broke it into small parts. I have been great. I've been great, busy with work. I repeated it 10 times. Each time I felt a little more confident. I had never done this before. Back in Spain, we just memorized grammar rules. Nobody taught us how to speak naturally. But now, here I was, a grown man in a foreign land, learning to speak like a child. And you know what? It felt powerful. That 1-hour practice became my morning ritual. Every day, 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. before work, no matter how cold, no matter how sleepy. I called it my power hour. After 1 week, I added a mirror practice. I would stand in front of the bathroom mirror and talk to myself in English. Sometimes I introduced myself. "Hi, I'm Lucas. I work as a designer in New York. I love creativity and good coffee." Sometimes I acted like I was ordering food. "Hi, can I get 1 cheeseburger, 1 fries, and a Coke, please?" At first, I laughed at myself. I felt stupid, but I kept going. Because I remembered something I heard once. Embarrassment is the price of growth, and I was ready to pay that price. Every day after work, I came home tired. But I didn't stop. I made a schedule, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Watch English TV shows with subtitles. 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Write 5 new sentences in my notebook. 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Record myself speaking and listen to my voice. Yes, I recorded myself. My voice sounded strange. My accent was strong. My grammar was weak. But I did it. Every single day. One night, I was practicing in the mirror when my Airbnb host walked past the bathroom. He heard me talking and said, "You okay in there?" I smiled and said, "Yes, practicing English." He laughed. "Ah, good. You'll be American in no time." He didn't know it, but that was the first compliment I ever got on my English. I smiled the whole night, but not every day was happy. Some days I made mistakes at work. One time I wrote an email that said, "Dear sir, please find the file." My teammate replied with a correction. "Hey Lucas, just a quick tip. You can just say, 'Please find the attached file.' You don't need 'the' twice." I felt so embarrassed. Another time I was giving a presentation. I wanted to say, "This feature will make the process faster." But I said, "This feature will make the process more fastly." Silence. My manager raised his eyebrow. A teammate whispered, "Do you mean faster?" I froze. My mouth went dry. My hands were shaking slightly. I nodded. Yes, faster. I kept going, but my confidence was gone. I could feel the heat in my cheeks. After the presentation, I went to the restroom and stared at my reflection. I whispered, "Why can't I just speak right?" On the train home, I sat by the window, trying not to cry in public. When I got home, I did cry. But then, I opened my grammar book. I wrote in bold letters, "Today I learned. We say faster, not more fastly. Adverbs can be tricky, but I'll learn them." I smiled through the tears, because I realized something big. Every mistake is a teacher. I wasn't failing, I was learning. After 2 weeks, I started going to coffee shops on the weekends. I had one goal: talk to one stranger every weekend. Just one. The first Saturday, I saw an old man sitting alone. I walked up and said, "Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm learning English. Can I sit?" He looked surprised. Then he smiled. "Sure, son. Sit down." We talked for 20 minutes. He told me about his wife who passed away. I told him I was from Spain. He said, "Your English is good." I said, "Not yet, but I try." He gave me a thumbs up and said, "Keep trying. You'll get there." That day, I felt like a hero. Not because I spoke perfect English, but because I had the courage to speak at all. By the end of the first month, I had filled 2 notebooks with new words and sentences, practiced for 45 hours, spent $200 on coffee and snacks while talking to strangers, made 4 new friends, started understanding 60% of conversations at work. My confidence was growing. My fear was shrinking. But the biggest moment came in the second month. Our team had to present a new idea to a client. Sarah said, "Lucas, we want you to lead the design part." I panicked. "Me?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "You've worked hard, and it's time." I didn't sleep the night before. I practiced my lines 50 times. "Good afternoon, my name is Lucas. Today I will walk you through our design vision. We wanted something modern, clean, and emotional." The next day, I stood in front of the client. My hands were shaking. My voice was low. But I kept going. And you know what? I did it. I made mistakes, yes. I forgot one sentence, yes. But I didn't stop. I finished. And when I looked up, they were clapping. My manager smiled. The client said, "Great presentation. Loved the color story." I walked out of that meeting with my chest out, shoulders high, and tears in my eyes. Because in that moment, I wasn't Lucas the liar anymore. I was Lucas, the English speaker, the warrior, the man who didn't give up. I called my mother that night. I told her everything. I cried. She cried. She said, "Mihijo, I'm proud of you, always." I looked out the window that night. New York City lights were glowing like stars on the ground. And I whispered to myself, "This is just the beginning." I had only 31 days left. 31 days to survive. 31 days to prove I wasn't a liar. 31 days to become the person I had pretended to be. That morning, I stood in front of the mirror, wearing my navy blue shirt, fixing my tie with shaking hands. The mirror didn't lie like my resume did. It showed me the truth. Eyes full of fear, mouth dry, heart pounding like I had run a marathon. But I repeated the same line I had written on a yellow sticky note stuck to the mirror. One sentence better than yesterday. That was my promise now. Just one sentence, just one new phrase, just one step forward. But that day, something unexpected happened at work. My manager, David, called me to join a client Zoom call. A real client. A real meeting. Real English. My legs felt weak. My hands were cold. My stomach twisted like I had swallowed ice cubes. I said, "Yes," but my voice cracked. I joined the call with a fake smile and real fear. The client spoke fast. Too fast. I understood only 20% of what he said. I tried to smile, nod at the right times, and laugh when others laughed. I kept writing down every new word I heard. After the meeting, David said nothing. He just looked at me and walked away. That silence hit me harder than any insult. I knew I had failed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my headphones playing a podcast called Simple English for Beginners. The host said one line that hit my heart like lightning. Fluency is not magic. It's memory, muscle, and mindset. I sat up and repeated that line. Fluency is memory, muscle, mindset. I grabbed my notebook and wrote it down. Then I made a new plan. I called it the survival plan. Here's what it looked like. Morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. 10-minute meditation to calm my fear. Speak 10 sentences to myself while looking in the mirror. Listen to one short English story and repeat aloud line by line. Write 5 new words in my notebook with examples. Lunch break at office, 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. Watch a 10-minute business conversation on YouTube. Speak one English sentence to a coworker. Evening, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Read one page from The Alchemist in English and underline new words. Practice English writing, emails, journal, random topics. Record 5 minutes of myself talking about my day in English. Before sleeping, review vocabulary flashcards. Watch 10 minutes of a movie in English with subtitles. This routine changed everything. Day by day, I noticed small changes. On day 34, I ordered food confidently at Subway without switching to Spanish. On day 36, I made a small joke in English during lunch, and my coworkers laughed. On day 38, a lady in my apartment building asked, "Where are you from?" I replied, "Spain. I just moved here a month ago." She smiled and said, "Oh, your English is nice." It wasn't perfect, but it was nice. That one word felt like a medal. That week, I also started writing every expense in English in a small notebook to build my thinking ability. Here's what one page looked like. Rent, $1,200. Groceries, $148.35. Transport, bus plus subway, $52. Coffee, $18.75. Language books, $22. Mobile recharge, $35. Laundry, $9. Even small things became part of my learning. When I did laundry, I wrote, washing, drying, folding clothes. When I bought groceries, I made English lists. Eggs, cheese, cereal, toothpaste, apples, chicken. Every action had English in it now. I didn't live English, I was breathing it. But then came the biggest test. Day 41. A team member was sick. David asked me to handle a 10-minute internal presentation. I froze. I wanted to say no, but something inside whispered, "You're ready." That night before the presentation, I prepared my lines like I was preparing a speech to the whole world. I wrote everything down and practiced for 3 hours. I stood in front of the mirror. I acted like I was in the meeting. I said, "Good morning, everyone. Today, I'll share the progress of the Blue Tech project. First, let's look at the timeline." Again and again. Over and over. I even practiced my smile. I wore my best shirt, polished my shoes, and reached office early. When my time came, I stood. My hands were shaking, but I took a deep breath and started. I didn't read. I spoke. I forgot a few lines, but I replaced them with simple English. I smiled when I made a mistake. I added a little joke, and it worked. When I finished, I saw David nodding. For the first time, I felt like I belonged. Later that evening, I sat in a cafe, opened my notebook, and wrote, "Today, I became the man I lied about 41 days ago." Then I wrote a question. What else can I do in 19 more days? And with that, my journey reached a new level. Part 4. The language that gave me a new life. 19 days. That's all I had left before I had to prove myself completely. But something had changed in me. I was no longer afraid. Every day I was speaking more, listening more, understanding more. I didn't count English as a subject anymore. It had become part of my blood. I started enjoying English. I would read street signs, shampoo bottles, toothpaste instructions, bank forms, everything. Even mistakes didn't hurt anymore. I learned to smile at them. I remember one day I was in a cafe. I ordered a coffee and sat with my laptop. A man beside me, an older American, looked at me and said, "You're not from around here, are you?" I smiled and said, "No, I'm from Spain." He said, "But your English sounds really good. Where did you learn?" And in that moment, I smiled and softly replied, "From fear and from fire." We laughed. We spoke for almost 30 minutes. He told me he was a retired professor. I told him about my new job, about my fake resume, about my 60-day plan. At the end, he said something I will never forget. "You didn't fake your way into this life. You fought your way in. You earned it." Then came day 60, the final day. David called me into his office. He looked serious. He opened his laptop, turned it around, and showed me a graph. It was the sales report of the project I was handling. It showed a 17% increase in performance. My ideas, my emails, my client support, they worked. Then he looked me in the eyes and said, "When you joined, I had doubts. You weren't confident. Your English was shaky. But now, you've changed. You're stronger. You're clearer. You're an asset." He smiled. "We're increasing your salary. From $3,500 to $5,200 per month." I couldn't breathe. I looked at him, eyes wide, heart beating fast. I don't know what to say," I whispered. He stood, shook my hand, and said, "Just keep going. You've earned it." I stepped out of that room feeling like I was flying. That evening I walked back to my small apartment. The same place where I once sat crying, afraid I would be fired. But this time I wasn't crying. I was laughing. I opened my balcony window. The cool wind touched my face. The city lights below looked like dreams blinking at me. I picked up my notebook, the one that had my survival plan. I wrote in capital letters, "English didn't just change my career. It changed my life." Because it truly had. Let me tell you everything that changed. I started helping my coworkers with emails. They respected me. They listened to me. My parents, who once worried about me, now smiled with pride during video calls. My mother once said, "Your English sounds so professional, hijo." Son. I started dating a girl named Emily. We met in a bookstore. She said she loved my accent. I smiled and said, "I worked hard for it." We went on long walks. She spoke fast English. I listened with love. And when I told her about my 60-day journey, she said, "That's the most romantic story I've ever heard, between you and English." We laughed. But more than the money, more than the promotion, more than the love, it was the confidence that changed my life. I started applying for conferences, speaking on calls, writing articles on LinkedIn. People followed me. They asked me, "How did you learn English so fast?" I always replied, "I didn't learn it fast. I learned it deeply, with emotion, with failure, with tears, with daily practice, with heart. And do you know what I realized? That English is not just a language. It's a bridge. It connects poor to rich. It connects small towns to big cities. It connects dreams to reality. Because the world listens in English. And when you don't know English, the world becomes silent. You feel invisible. You feel ignored. You feel stuck. But the moment you speak, even with broken grammar, even with fear, the world turns and looks at you. Because now you are part of the conversation. Now you belong. People asked me, why should I learn English? What's the use? I always said, do you want a better job? Learn English. Do you want to study abroad? Learn English. Do you want to speak to people from other countries? Learn English. Do you want to grow your business? Learn English. Do you want to be confident in interviews, meetings, dates, travel? Learn English. Do you want freedom in life? Learn English. Because English is not just a language. It's a tool. It's a weapon. It's a superpower. It makes your brain sharper, your world bigger, your voice stronger. Now it's been 2 years. I've moved to a bigger apartment. My salary is $8,000 per month now. I lead a team of 12 people. I help other immigrants like me, and I teach them the same thing I learned. Start with one sentence, one word, one smile, one mistake, every single day. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better than yesterday. My 60-day English journey. A daily learning plan for anyone who wants to speak English confidently like me. I know how it feels when you're sitting in a group and people start talking in English and suddenly you go quiet. You feel small. You smile to hide your silence, but inside, your heart is burning. You feel like you are behind in life, like you don't belong. That pain? I've felt it too. But I want to tell you today, English is not just a language. It is the power to open doors you never thought possible. So if you truly want to speak English, not just to impress people, but to free yourself, then this plan is for you. It's not about grammar books or big words. It's about small daily steps that can change your life forever. When you wake up in the morning, before touching your phone, take a deep breath and remind yourself, I am learning English because I deserve a better life. This is your first victory. Then go to the mirror, look into your own eyes, and say 5 simple lines in English about your day. I am going to the kitchen. Today I will drink tea. I have to do laundry. These small sentences are the roots of fluency. Don't think they are silly. This is how children learn, and today, you are allowing yourself to be a student again. After that, take a notebook and write down 5 new English words every morning. But not just the meaning. Write a sentence with each one. Make it personal. If your word is hope, don't just write the meaning. Write, I hope I will speak English fluently soon. Feel your words. Let them stay with you all day. You are not memorizing vocabulary. You are building your new voice. Afternoon is the time to connect with the world. After you've done your lunch or rested a bit, play a short video in English. It can be a vlog, a story, a real-life conversation, anything that feels real. Watch it once with subtitles. Then watch it again, without them. Focus not on understanding every word, but on feeling the rhythm, the flow of the speaker. After watching, close your eyes and try to say in your own words what you understood. They were at the beach. She was talking about her childhood. It made me feel happy. Even if you speak broken sentences, speak them. This is your training ground. Then take 10 minutes to talk to yourself about anything. your mother, your favorite food, your fear, your dream. You are not waiting for someone to practice with. You are becoming your own teacher, your own friend. That is powerful. Night is the most emotional part of the day, and that's when learning becomes beautiful. Sit with a cup of tea, or just in your quiet corner, open your notebook, and write 5 to 10 lines about your day. In English. Don't worry about mistakes. Just write. Today, I was sad. I wanted to give up, but I remembered my dream. Or, I made tea and watched a video. I repeated one sentence 5 times. I felt proud. These lines are not just practice. They are proof that you are growing. After writing, read them out loud, slowly, clearly. Then review your 5 words from the morning and try to use them in your diary. Lastly, before sleeping, whisper 3 things in English to yourself. I am improving. I am proud of myself. Tomorrow I will try again. Trust me, these quiet, personal sentences will stay in your soul. You are not just learning English. You are healing. You are not lazy. You are not late. You are just starting now. English will not just help you speak better. It will help you dream bigger. It will open new jobs, new friendships, new versions of yourself. People will respect your effort. But most importantly, you will start respecting yourself. And one day, you will look back and say, I did it. Just like I did. Just like many have. And just like you will. If you're reading this and you're scared of English, I want to tell you something. Don't give up. I was once you. Lost, ashamed, afraid to speak. But I kept going. Let's grow together. Let's build your English. Let's build your future. Because you are not just learning a language. You are building your life. And I am so, so proud of you. See you in the